Hey guys, how's it going? It's Chris here, and welcome back to some more book series bonus content. This is going to be pertaining to book one and book two, and I will say right away, spoilers ahead for book one and book two. If you haven't read them, or are interested in reading them, or maybe you just don't get whatever, just like this will be spoiling some general themes, plot lines, and whatever have you, because then who knows what I'm going to say. So I want to get that right out of the way so I can kind of speak freely on what everything here pertains to. So let's look at some abandoned plot lines and scenes. Forgive any spelling errors. I just typed up most of this by hand right now as I was like looking at older documents in here, like a 2013, 2016 version, original book two, which was called The World as You Left It at first, or whatever have you. I was looking through this stuff and more backstory ideas and whatever. So, some of it was copy pasted, some of it was typed out by me. So let's get right into this. So starting off with another plot point leading up to the final confrontation with Sin, and this is in book one, was that Tansu's birthday was coming up, and Kim was trying to get her some kind of a gift. She goes to this antique shop in town, and she tries to get like a jeweled necklace that was sitting alone on a shelf. I believe the necklace was in a box, and the box wasn't covered in dust, but everything else around it was covered in dust, so it stood out to her, and obviously it stood out because right here, the necklace was turned out to be a relic that was placed there by Sin, which he used the necklace to brainwash Tansu. So he used it as like a little tool to get them whatever. Also before this, it wasn't a necklace. There was a bracelet and a ring that like bound them together, and that Sin was using to like siphon some of Kim's Tuffle energy into Tansu to make her easier to brainwash at some point, whatever have you. But yeah, the shop owner doesn't recognize the item, but he still tries to sell it to her. She ends up not having enough money, but she stays there a while and does some cleaning up in the shop to make up for the necklace to be able to buy it. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened. But instead, it's just like, yeah, he's just powerful enough to where he can just manipulate your emotions, and that's what he's not. He doesn't brainwash Tatsu. He just manipulates. He amplifies negative emotions and stuff like that to fuel hatred that she doesn't really have. In the first ending, once I started expanding the short story, so this is back when it was like 40 pages, and this is when I was like, all right, I need to actually make it into a book. Kim was supposed to kill Tansu by accident in the school's bathroom during a heated argument where, having Alice, she wasn't really in her own right mind, so she ended up accidentally losing control and killing Tansu. After that, Kim ran away, lived on her own for the rest of her life, eventually returning to where Tansu was buried as an adult. Again, this is all very early concept stuff where I have no clue of anything. The ending after that had Kim lose badly to Sin. So, like, instead of doing this was like, I'll write this down as a concept and see where that goes. I decided against this. And then the next ending after that was Kim just lost bad to Sin. It was not even a fight, not even a contest. With her back against the wall, metaphorically, Kim offered Sin a deal. And this was again before Sin was who he is now as a member of the council, as a fallen member of the council with deep, dark, fucking ancient power inside him that's manipulating him. This is before all that, and Sin was just like an acolyte of hell kind of thing, just like a twisted demon making deals, and there was like a literal hell as they called it, in the way that you think of it now. And the deal, and he was trying to get the kids' souls, but he couldn't kill them himself because that would break the deal he made. So Kim offered a deal that he could have her soul right there and now instead of waiting, and because he couldn't kill her himself, it was more he was just beating her down to put her in her place because she challenged him, but he was not allowed to kill her because it would break his own deal and she wouldn't go to hell for him. So Kim says, "You can have my soul right now, and Alice can have her body as he intended, as long as Sin returns to hell for 100 years." Sin accepts the deal, and the reason for 100 years is because anyone she would care about at that point would be dead, so he couldn't come back and like take out his aggression on people she used to care about. So like in 100 years, they'll all be dead, so it wouldn't really matter. Sin accepts the deal, and he spawns like a hell gate, and then he steps into it, and then he goes to like, "Yep, I take my hand so I can take your soul," and Kim does, or I don't think she actually took his hand, whatever. But like when Sin looks to his left to see who her soul standing next to him, it's actually Alice because Sin was said before, like part of the deal is like, she is you and you are her. So it's like, ha, got you, bastard. It's a loophole. I gave you her instead of me. And Alice decided to go with it too because she's like, yeah, hell's gonna be sick. I can just kill stuff down there. But Kim still dies from her injuries because she got fucking obliterated. Another book one thing here is Lyomik was originally sent by Sin to eliminate Kim because she wasn't using Alice to kill as intended. So the whole scene where Lyomik is overlapped with Sin with Kim's soul with like the chambers inside and whatever. Where in the actual canon story, Crism does that. But in the first version, it's because Sin did that because he's just like, yeah, she's not killing as she should. She's not holding up her end of the deal. I can't kill her, so I'll allow this other Tuffle to kill her instead. When Alice tries to kill Tansu originally, this is again taking place in the bathroom or whatever have you. The two of them have an extended dialogue. Alice and Tansu have an extended dialogue where Kim is unconscious inside of herself, allowing Alice to nearly break Tansu's wrist because she's like holding her in place and like monologuing at her. She's degrading her by explaining her. Sorry, like typos again. Ignore those. Explaining Alice's origins and that she has siblings that would hunt her down and kill her anyway, and it's like better for Alice to kill her so they can get stronger or whatever, kill her and her mom. Tantu eventually like knows she can't talk her way out of it and she's powerless, so she just kind of gives up and goes limp, waiting to be killed. But Kim is able to wake up and stop Alice just in time. But before that, before Kim wakes up, Alice ends up like when she first like takes over, punches at Tansu, but she misses because she's not like in full control of her motor functions at the moment. She just transformed or whatever, so she ends up punching a big hole in the bathroom wall that they cover up with like a piece of art that was in there. They just like after the whole thing, they're just like and they've talked it out and explained things. They grab this like yeah we can't explain this hole in the fucking wall, so let's cover it up. In this version of the story, Sin was actively appearing to Kim as well to screw with her. Like he would just like randomly appear behind her and just like, "What's up, bitch? You're annoying and you're stupid and blah blah blah. Here's some more. Here's some more lore I'm gonna explain to you just to kind of mess with your head." He just kind of like kept popping in and just like dumping info on her just to kind of screw with her and whatever have you. Yeah, we saw a lot more of Sin back then, but like it doesn't make sense with later iterations of who his character is to be actively checking in on the demon kids. Okay, I think I've talked about this one before, but I had actually written an extended ending. Yeah, I did mention it because I showed that I had the physical printed version of this extended ending, but this is like the context of that. So, I had written an extended ending where after Kim dies in book one, the perspective switches to Tansu, who now has a ring that belonged to Kim's mother. That was a whole plot device. Like, there was a point where Kim went into her dad's room, and where we see now in the canon version, where she finds the gun from Transgression, and she has her whole, like, moment in there where she loses time. And instead of that, before she actually went into the room, I don't remember if it was at that point in the story or later when she comes back before fighting Destro. She actually spends a lot of time in her dad's room and finds the ring in her dad's dresser drawer, bureau drawer. And this ring she kind of held on to because it was her mother's wedding ring or engagement ring or promise ring because they weren't technically married, I don't believe. I think even canon, her parents weren't technically married. Like there was no ceremony, but they were like together by law or so. I don't know. I don't know how fucking marriage works. I'm not gonna get married, but so she had her mother's ring, which is an important artifact for her, obviously. And so that ring, after she died, Tansu, it's kind of given to Tansu. But what she doesn't know is that Kim's soul actually got trapped in the ring. Again, this is before I had any idea for anything. Nothing was planned after the book, and I was kind of making shit up as I went. Kim's soul actually transfers to the ring. But additionally, Tansu sees an apparition of a girl who resembles Kim in school, but it only exists inside Tansu's head. But like this girl who's walking around school had like looked like Kim, but like a little bit different. Had longer, bushier hair. Her eyes were like more of like a purplish hue instead of blue, and she actually had like a scar on her chin, which resembled the scar that Kim would have on her chin from when she hit it on the nightstand or on the end table running from her dad, where she cut her chin open. So yeah, actually, yeah, I just explained that right there. Tanzu is obsessed with this girl because she knows that it's a figment of Kim, and it's confirmed when she finally interacts with the stranger and she introduces herself as Kim to Tansu in sort of a role reversal flashback to when they first met in the beginning. But she doesn't know who Tansu is. After spending a lot of time trying to convince this girl of who she actually is, the girl lashes out. Only then does Tansu finally interact with Stacy and Joey, helping them through their grievance and confusion. After that, Tansu is transported into the ring once she's like able to help them move on and like confirm from herself and like I don't know, just kind of like get herself into a better mental place and accepting everything. The ring kind of like pulls Tansu's consciousness into it because it has a lot of magical properties, whatever. And she's able to speak with the real version of Kim. Because I think what I was doing before, Kim was like projecting this vision of an alternate version of herself in a way that Tansu would notice, or in the way Tansu would have to like confront and whatever have you in order to get her attention. And once inside the ring, she explains to Tansu that she helped her soul rest by putting her mind but by putting their minds at ease. Tansu is then faced with a decision: she can destroy the ring and set Kim free, or keep the ring and maintain that connection with her friend, but force her to be trapped inside this like white veil of nothing forever. So it's like, yeah, do I want to like break the ring and let you go and have you be gone forever, or do I want to kind of keep you and have us like be able to communicate while I have the ring because our souls are kind of like linked or whatever. So yeah, that was what was going on in like the extended version. Again, before I had any idea of what I was going to do with anything, it was just me kind of like, well, I wrote this and it's too much work to change it, so I guess I'll keep writing stuff based off that idea, but then it just got convoluted and messy and yeah, so next we have some book 2 stuff, and I think this is pretty much all book 2 stuff from here. In book 2, Tansu, this is some like alternate scenes and like different ways that I was approaching the story before I had written it, like a bunch of conceptual stuff. So in book 2, Tansu was supposed to visit Kim's grave like right at the beginning. She set a photo, the photo that she took of Kim on the rock outside of her house. She sets that photo on the headstone, as well as a drawing of a rose. Again, ignore spelling errors, I was typing fast. As well as a drawing of a rose that Kim had done for her, which is something that was abandoned from early versions of book 1. This was like a token of their friendship, where like the first time they hung out at Tansu's house, Kim doodles a drawing, and Tansu's in her magazines or whatever, and Kim gives it to her. It's a picture of a rose or whatever. And she actually sat down at the headstone with her guitar because that's something that they discussed too. Because that Tansu used to play piano, guitar, stuff that her dad taught her, and she was into music back then. And so she brings the guitar with her and she plays Kim a song until she breaks down crying. There was going to be actually lyrics that I had written down in the book that Tansu like kind of wrote quickly in the days leading up, but I chose instead to like just describe the melody. Here's a big chunk. So in early drafts of book 2, Tansu spent a few days in school dealing with everything. So, like, right after book 1, we pick up. I think it starts out with Tansu walking along the road with her dad in that dream vision thing where she comes across Kim and sees a version of Kim, whatever have you. It goes from that to her going to school, like, days later or something. As she's trying to maintain normalcy and she's managing her own injuries. She's walking with a crutches, she has bandages, she's all fucked up, and like the story's unclear of what happened to her, but she's still trying to go along and do her normal thing. She was at first going to be escorted by an aide, like a student teacher aide or whatever have you, between classes, leaving class 5 minutes before each bell in order to get through the hallways with less issues, without dealing with the crowds and whatever have you. Considering her crutches. Then she was eventually put into a side room inside the office, like a in-school suspension room or whatever have you, where teachers would send work up to her to complete, so she wouldn't have to walk around and deal with all that kind of stuff. She could just be in the room, rest, not get stressed out, and just like get work sent to her. Originally, Ken and Magcrow were supposed to find and speak with her while she was at school. I had some versions of this where like Tansu was actually sitting in class and had like a weird sixth sense, would look to the classroom door and like the little peeping windows, and she would see Ken outside kind of looking at her, and then she like got up, left the room trying to find him, and he wasn't there. He's just kind of like stalking, being weird. But yeah, they were trying to find a way to speak with her at school, but with her always having an aide around / being in the side room in the office, it made it impossible for them to get to her to talk with her, which delayed them getting her to do what they were needing, which is why that kind of takes place days after the funeral and everything. Even though they're on a time schedule, yeah, it made it difficult because they couldn't really talk to her. After she finally speaks with Ken, and before she goes to Kim's house to meet him, because he's like, hey, I want to talk to you. Meet me at Kim's house. And she's like, oh, okay. She thinks on it for a day or so until she decides to go and hear him out. But now that she knows that there are threats and this will likely be dangerous, she's anticipating something could go wrong. but she's like, I owe it to Kim to go to this. I owe it to, because she knows Crism's involved, and she's like, I owe it to Crism to hear them out and whatever, but it could be dangerous. So she decides to like write individual letters meant for Joey and her mom, explaining the sin encounter and the aftermath and the truth of it all. She left these letters sealed in envelopes that would not be delivered unless she didn't survive. Additionally, the reason Crism wanted Tansu was still to bring Alice back. She still wanted Tansu to be a vessel for Alice. However, her purpose was mainly because Alice was a trusted source of power that she could use against remaining Tuffle and other threats that were now coming to the world. The other threats being fiends and other powerful demons that were released onto Earth after Sin's death. Those entities had kept away from Earth because of Sin and Crism's presence, making it obviously like, yeah, I'm not going to Earth. They'll fucking kill me or enslave me or something. So they're like, fuck that. I'm staying off of Earth. Which is why we didn't see any demons or fiends outside of Tuffle, even though they do exist. But the real reason, the canonical reason, is because Sin had sealed the underworld gate to keep Umbra away from him and to keep everything from screwing with his plans. They didn't trick Tansu to absorb Alice. Instead, Crism offered Tansu a deal in the same vein as Sin in order for her to get Alice, because that was like the only way to transfer Alice was through a contractual deal back in this version of the story. The deal being they would lead Tansu to the man who killed Tansu's dad and to get revenge. And in this version of the story, Tansu wanted clarity from Crism, and we get details of her past. Crism explains that she had facial scars from a. This is obviously not the canon story. This is my first version of Crism's backstory. That she had really bad facial and bodily scars from a really bad car accident as a kid where everyone survived, but she was horribly mangled. And because of these scars and her disfigurement, she was tormented growing up by adults and kids alike. Then, unrelated, these three men happened to choose her house to break into, and they killed her family for basically no reason, just as like a thrill seek. We're gonna do this, yada yada. She was the last to survive, and they beat her down, and then they set the house on fire to destroy the evidence. Me typing fast, leave me alone. Thank God for spell check. Then Sin fell and saved her from the fire. The fire wasn't caused. Actually, I don't think he fell. I think the fire was it was engulfed in flames, and he like appeared to save her for whatever reason. I don't remember his exact reasonings for saving her, but the fire was her scarred body was still caused by a house fire instead of Sin's crashing, which caused the house to engulf in flames. Oh, and also while she tells the story, Joey's there because they're trying to get him to understand Kim's past and recruit him in a way as well. I don't remember much of how I arrived at that because it's all written somewhere. I was skimming through the document, and as I was reading my old document of Crism explaining this, I saw Joey was like there and he was listening. I'm like, I don't remember why Joey's there, but it's written in here somewhere. Like it's all written up to this point, but like I have no earthly idea as to why Joey's there. So here are some more Sin and Crism backstories. I didn't vet these before I copy and pasted them. These are all just straight up copy and pasted. So some of these might be the same as the one from that I posted last time. But let's go ahead and read these. Actually, it's not too much. So where did I go? Okay. Sin didn't want to destroy the world or conquer it. He loved humanity and he wanted to preserve it, save it from the fiends. The Tuffle was the beginning of a project that would allow him to protect humanity because, in his twisted way of thinking, his favorite thing about humans was their souls, watching them as they turned against each other, as the way one soul could break and another could grow strong, how unique they all were, and their ability to adapt and mature. So, this was just like me writing a basic idea that popped into my head with no real legs to stand on. It was just like, oh, what about this? It's one of those what about this notes that I just wrote down and put there. Another what about this notes is he loved the politics of demons hidden within human souls. So he was like doing that to create like an army of like demonic children that he would use to so like corrupt humanity to save humanity from the fiends and demons of underworld or hell or whatever. And again, here's me writing down like just ideas for myself. So these are all just random shit that I put in my notes for myself to read later to then build the story off of. Maybe the one who gave Sin his power, Orin, which is the first name I gave him and that's what stuck, gave to him on the condition that he builds an army. Again, this is me like, it could be this, or maybe it's this. An army that would allow them to take over hell. But when Sin agreed and took his power, he used it to find used it to find his family. He was struck with madness with his family's choices. After killing them, he killed Oren, but pure demons don't die. Which I guess Oren was a demon at this point. They're sent to purgatory. Oh, yeah, that's right. We were going to have like a whole purgatory arc, weren't we? Oren survived in purgatory and wanted his revenge on Sin. They were supposed to rule hell together, but Sin betrayed him. The battle with Crism and Sin, more importantly, their final class of power had been so powerful that the raw energy was potent enough to leak into purgatory. Oren tracked this energy and was able to find a way out after so many years. Yeah, so I don't know what the fuck was going on there, but that was apparently an idea I had. Here's another thing of me posing a question to myself. It's me saying, hey, build something off this. What if Crism was living inside her own dead body? I'm reading all this for the first time in years, by the way. I don't remember this. She died in the fire, but her soul refused to leave. It was angry and full of hatred for the ones who murdered her family. The hate was so intense that Sin could pinpoint her exact location. He found her and gave her a fragment of his demonized soul, which contained amounts equal to half of his total power. He did not mean to give her so much, but it was too late to take it back. That would explain why she is so stiff and moves so slow normally. She has massive amounts of reserve energy from Sin and her own to full power. She usually saves her to full energy for a massive discharge and increased ability, but normally she uses Sin's power because it's cleaner and easier to control. In order to move quickly, she uses Sin's power to accelerate her movements. Even if she uses too much, she can become significant. Though if she uses too much, she can become significantly drained. So yeah, her soul survives in her own. Her body dies, but her soul lives, and she has to use the energy that Sin gives her to puppeteer her own body. And in order to make herself move faster, she uses more energy to increase her speed, which then drains her. So that was an idea I had. It's kind of a cool concept. I probably borrowed that from something, but I don't know. In their time together, Sin treated her like his true lost daughter because he had a family before. He had like a wife and daughter before all this stuff. He got mixed up with Oren. He told her stories of his human life and about the demon who rebirthed him as a demon. The idea of artificial demons came right after Crism was born, but he knew that he could not use his own power to create more demons. He then remembered what Oren told him about human souls and how powerful they would be if you combine multiple souls together into one. Up to that point, he had just been making deals and transferring the souls when their time came to hell. Instead, he started making unauthorized deals and began taking souls for himself. He dissected the first few until he discovered a way to break them up and keep only what was needed. That's when he formed the Ditch and his plans unfolded. Crism was not aware of his unauthorized theft of souls through deals that also illegally took place outside of Crossroads summonings. So that's some more stuff that I completely fucking forgot about till right now. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you did, leave a like. And for the 2 people that are gonna actually watch this because it contains such heavy spoilers or reference to spoilers, either way, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have a good day or night or 3 p.m. whatever. Bye.